The council chamber stretched wide and tall, built to hold representatives from 70 different species. Ambassador Velthar clicked his mandibles together nervously as he reviewed the day's agenda. As a historian for the Galactic Council, he had seen many debates and arguments, but today made him uncomfortable. A young scholar named Nixara stood at the presentation platform. Her feathers were bright blue, marking her as barely past her species' adulthood. She had requested time to present her research on extinct civilizations. Velthar knew what she wanted to discuss. He had tried to warn her against it. "Honored members," Nixara began, her voice carrying through the translation system. "I have spent 5 years studying the species that came before us. Most disappeared due to natural causes. Disease, resource depletion, stellar events. But one species troubles me. The records about them make no sense." Several council members shifted in their seats. Some looked at each other with knowing glances. "I speak of humans," Nixara said. The chamber erupted in angry clicks, growls, and whistles. 3 representatives stood up and walked out immediately. Others shouted for Nixara to stop speaking. Velthar raised his arms, calling for order. "Please," he said, his voice tired. "Let the young scholar speak. We are civilized beings." The noise slowly died down, but the tension remained thick in the air. Nixara continued, though her feathers now showed stress patterns. "The official records say humans were monsters. They destroyed 3 colony worlds. They killed billions without mercy. They had weapons that could break planets apart. They showed no feeling or kindness to any species." Nixara paused. "Then they simply vanished 847 years ago. No trace, no remains, nothing." "Good riddance," someone shouted from the back. Nixara ignored the interruption. "But these records trouble me. If humans were so powerful and so cruel, how did 70 species working together defeat them? Why did they leave no technology behind? Why can we not find their home world? Why are there no bodies, no ruins, no evidence except these stories?" Velthar stood slowly. He had hoped to avoid this conversation, but the young scholar had forced it into the open. "The records are accurate," he said, though his translator chip picked up the uncertainty in his voice. "I have read the original reports myself. Human ships appeared in our space 1,200 years ago. At first they seemed peaceful. They traded. They shared some technology. They established colonies on uninhabited worlds." He walked to the center of the chamber, his multiple legs moving in a rhythm that showed his discomfort. But then strange things began happening. Wherever humans went, other species became dependent on them. Human doctors cured diseases we thought impossible to treat. Human farmers ended famines. Human diplomats solved conflicts that had lasted centuries. It was unnatural. It was too perfect. "That sounds helpful, not monstrous," Nixara said quietly. "That is what we thought at first," Velthar replied. "But then we understood. Humans were making us weak, making us need them. When the plague struck the Korvath colonies, humans arrived with their machines and their medicines. They saved millions, but their machines were powerful enough to terraform entire planets, powerful enough to be weapons." "Were they weapons?" Nixara asked. "We could not take the risk," Velthar said. "The council voted. 70 species agreed. Humans were too dangerous to allow to continue. We asked them to leave our space. They refused. They said they were helping. They said we needed them." His voice grew harder. "So we made them leave." "You attacked them," Nixara said. "We defended ourselves against a future threat," Velthar corrected. "The war was brief. Humans had few military ships. They were not prepared for coordinated action from so many species. Their colonies fell one by one. They sent messages begging for mercy. They claimed innocence, but we knew the truth. We had seen their power." "And then they vanished," Nixara said. "Yes. The last human ships jumped to unknown coordinates. We assumed they destroyed themselves in some final catastrophic act of spite. We have monitored the galaxy ever since. No human signal has been detected in 847 years. They are gone. The monster species is extinct. Nixara looked at her data pad. And we teach our children this story. We tell them that humans were the greatest evil our galaxy has ever known. We use them as an example of what happens when a species becomes too proud and too cruel. Yes, Velthar said. The memory of humans keeps us united. It reminds us why we must work together. It reminds us to watch for danger. It is a lie, Nixara said softly. The chamber exploded in outrage. Representatives demanded Nixara be removed. Some called for her research credentials to be revoked. Velthar tried to calm the chaos, but the anger was too strong. Then every alarm in the station began to sound at once. The main view screen activated automatically, showing the space around the council station. Every representative fell silent. Every eye turned to watch. A ship had appeared at the edge of sensor range. It was unlike any design in the current database. The hull was smooth and curved, built for long travel rather than war. Strange symbols marked its side. The computer system could not identify them. "Security scan," someone ordered. The results appeared on the screen. One life form aboard. Biological markers unknown. Ship age, approximately 900 years old. Power signature, minimal. Barely enough for life support and communication. The chamber remained frozen in silence. Then the ship's communication system activated. A voice spoke in perfect galactic standard, though the accent was strange and ancient. "This is Captain Jinsu of the human exploration vessel Dawn's Promise. We have been traveling for a very long time. We have data to share and hope to find our colony worlds. We request permission to dock and meet with Galactic Council representatives." There was a pause. Then the voice continued, and now it sounded confused. "Is anyone there? Our records show this is the main council station. We sent our identification codes. Are they out of date? Please respond. We mean no harm. We just want to come home." Velthar's legs buckled. He grabbed onto his desk for support. Around the chamber, representatives stared at the screen in pure terror. Some began praying. Others reached for weapons that were not there. Nixara stood perfectly still, her feathers displaying a pattern of shock and vindication. The human voice spoke again. "Hello? Is everything all right? We are detecting weapons targeting our ship. That seems excessive for a science vessel. We are not armed. Again, we request permission to dock. We have been gone for so long. Please, we just want to talk." Ambassador Velthar realized his mandibles were shaking. The monster from the legends had returned, but it was not demanding surrender or threatening destruction. It was asking permission. It was saying please. Somehow, that made it so much worse. 3 hours passed before the council reached a decision. During that time, every weapon on the station remained locked onto the small human ship. Fighter squadrons launched and formed a perimeter. Military vessels from nearby systems jumped in to help. Within 2 hours, enough firepower to destroy a small moon surrounded one 900-year-old exploration vessel. The human ship did not move. It did not power up weapons because it had none. It simply waited. Ambassador Velthar watched the tactical display with growing unease. "This is excessive," he said to Security Chief Cordon. Cordon was a reptilian whose scales could shift colors based on emotion. Right now, they were deep red, indicating extreme aggression. "We should destroy it now," he said, "before it can do whatever it came here to do." "It came here to talk," Nixara said. She had refused to leave the command center. "You heard the message." "I heard a monster trying to trick us," Cordon replied. "That is what monsters do. They lie. They manipulate. They make you lower your guard." The council finally voted. The human ship would be allowed to dock, but only in Quarantine Bay 7. It was the most reinforced section of the station, built to contain biological hazards. 6 layers of security doors separated it from the rest of the station. Guards would be positioned at every level. The human would be kept behind reinforced glass at all times. If the human made any suspicious move, Cordon had authorization to eliminate it immediately. Captain Jinsu received the docking instructions without complaint. Her ship moved slowly into the quarantine bay, its old engines humming. The bay doors sealed behind it with heavy metallic thuds that echoed through the station. Velthar, Nixara, and Cordon watched from the observation room. 300 armed guards filled the bay below, their weapons trained on the ship's exit hatch. Medical scanners were active, searching for biological threats. Automated defense turrets tracked the ship's every movement. The hatch opened with a hiss of equalizing pressure. Captain Jinsu stepped out slowly. Her hands were raised and clearly empty. She wore a simple blue uniform with symbols that might have been rank insignia. Her hair was black and tied back. She was smaller than the legends suggested, perhaps average height compared to most species. She looked tired. She looked human. Jinsu turned in a slow circle, taking in the hundreds of soldiers and weapons pointed at her. Her expression showed genuine confusion. "This is a lot of guns for a diplomatic meeting," she said through the translation system. "Did I do something wrong? Is there a protocol I do not know about?" No one answered. The guards remained frozen, waiting for her to reveal her true monstrous nature. Jinsu lowered her hand slowly. "Okay. I will wait here then. Whenever you are ready to talk, I am available." She sat down on the floor of her ship's ramp, cross-legged, hands visible. "I have waited 900 years. I can wait a little longer." Velthar activated the communication system. "Captain Jinsu, I am Ambassador Velthar. I must inform you that humans are not welcome in council space." Jinsu looked toward the speakers, trying to find where the voice came from. "I do not understand. Our records show humans had good diplomatic relations with the council. We had colonies. We had trade agreements. What happened?" "You happened," Cordon interrupted. "Your species threatened the entire galaxy. You were eliminated." Jinsu stood up quickly and 300 guards tensed. She raised her hands again. Sorry. I just needed to stand because that was shocking to hear." She took a deep breath. "You eliminated us? You mean you killed human colonies?" "We defended ourselves against monsters," Cordon said. "Monsters?" Jinsu's voice carried genuine confusion. "We were explorers, scientists. We studied stars and cataloged planets. We shared what we learned. How is that monstrous?" Velthar decided to show her. He activated the holographic display in the quarantine bay. Images appeared, showing the official historical records. Ships burning, colonies under attack, reports of human aggression, warnings about human weapons. Jinsu watched in growing horror. Her hands dropped to her sides as she read the dates and locations. "No," she whispered. "No, this is all wrong." "These are official records," Velthar said. "These are lies," Jinsu said, her voice shaking. She pointed at one report. "This says humans destroyed the colony on Kevlar 3, but that was a human colony. I have relatives who lived there. Your report says it happened on Galactic Standard Date 847-412. Our records show it was attacked by unknown forces on that exact date. 17,000 humans died. They sent distress calls begging for help. No one came." She pointed at another report. "This one says humans deployed planet-killing weapons on Sorvan. That was terraforming equipment. Humans were trying to create quarantine zones to stop a plague from spreading. I have the medical records. We saved 11 million Sorvans. Is that monstrous?" "Your machines could have been used as weapons," Cordon insisted. "Any machine can be used as a weapon," Jinsu shot back. "Your ships can crash into planets. Does that make them planet killers? Your medical labs can create diseases. Does that make you plague spreaders?" She was breathing hard now, her voice rising. You killed us because we helped you? You murdered human colonies because we cured diseases and ended famines? You were making us dependent on you, Velthar said quietly. You were making yourselves necessary to our survival. Jinsu stared at the glass that separated them. For a long moment, she said nothing. When she spoke again, her voice was very soft. You killed us because we were useful. You killed us because we were good at helping. You killed entire colonies full of families and children because you were afraid that you might need us. The silence in the observation room was absolute. Yes, Velthar said, because someone had to say it out loud. Jinsu nodded slowly. She walked back to her ship's ramp and sat down again. She looked smaller now, tired, sad. The legends call us monsters, she said to no one in particular. You wrote your history to make us the villains. You taught your children that humans were evil. You built your unity on our graves and your lies. She looked up at the observation window, though she could not see through the one-way glass. So now I am here. The monster from your stories. The last human who does not know she is supposed to be dead. Jinsu's expression was unreadable. I have one question for you, Ambassador. What are you going to do now that we are back? Cordan's answer was immediate. We will finish what we started. Jinsu nodded again, as if she expected that answer. Of course you will, because admitting you were wrong is harder than killing one more human. She stood and walked back into her ship. I will be here when you decide. My ship is unarmed and my engines are too old to run. I cannot escape, so take your time, have your debates. Decide whether to murder me or face the truth. The hatch closed behind her. Nixara turned to Velthar. We killed them, she said. We killed them all, and they were innocent. We do not know that, Cordan said. Yes, we do, Nixara replied. We have always known. Nixara could not sleep. For 2 days, Captain Jinsu remained sealed in her ship while the council debated what to do with her. For 2 days, Nixara reviewed every historical record she could access. The more she read, the more wrong everything felt. On the 3rd day, she made a decision. She submitted a formal request to access the human ship's data archives. Cordan denied it immediately. Nixara submitted the request again, this time directly to Jinsu. The human captain's response came within minutes. Permission granted. I have nothing to hide. Come alone if it makes your security chief feel better. I promise I do not bite. Cordan tried to block Nixara from entering the quarantine bay. That human is dangerous. You will not go in there. Then come with me, Nixara said. Bring your guards. Bring your weapons, but I am going to see the truth. She went anyway. Cordan followed with 50 armed guards, all positioned outside the ship. Nixara entered alone. The interior of the ship was cramped but clean. Everything was old but well-maintained. Nixara found Jinsu in what appeared to be a combination living quarters and command center. The human was drinking something hot from a cup. Tea? Jinsu said, noticing Nixara's curious look. Or my species version of it. Want some? It is safe for most species. Probably. She smiled weakly at her own joke. Sorry. Humor helps when facing execution. Are you afraid? Nixara asked. Jinsu considered the question. Yes, but also angry and sad, mostly sad. She gestured to a seat. My great-great-great-grandmother left Earth on this ship. She was part of a generation ship program. Humans wanted to explore beyond the galactic rim. See what was out there. Learn new things. We were supposed to be gone for maybe 500 years. It took longer than expected. She pulled up a holographic display. This is our historical database. Everything my ancestors knew about human civilization, including what happened here in Council space. She looked at Nixara. You want to know the truth? Really want to know? Because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. I want to know, Nixara said. Jinsu took a deep breath and activated the archive. Humans arrived in Council space 1,217 years ago. First contact was peaceful. We were invited to establish diplomatic relations. Here are the official documents. The display showed treaty after treaty. Humans offering medical technology in exchange for star charts. Humans sharing agricultural advances in exchange for cultural information. Humans mediating disputes between warring species because they were neutral and new. Within 50 years, humans had become deeply integrated into Council society. We were good at helping, Jinsu said quietly. That was our thing. Humans were stubborn about two things: learning and fixing problems. We could not see suffering without wanting to stop it. We could not see a question without wanting to answer it. The display shifted to show human colonies. They were modest, built on uninhabited worlds, designed to be self-sufficient. We did not take anyone's planets, Jinsu explained. We did not want conflict. We just wanted to be part of something bigger than ourselves. Then the records showed the plague, a disease that struck multiple worlds simultaneously. Mortality rate, 93%. The Council species had no defense against it. Their medical technology was not advanced enough. Humans mobilized everything, Jinsu said. The display showed ships carrying medical teams and equipment. My great-great-great-grandmother's sister was a doctor. She went to the Korvath colonies. She worked for 6 months straight trying to save people. She did save people, millions of them. The display showed something that made Nixara's feathers stand rigid. It was a human terraforming device, the same design shown in Council historical records as a planet-killing weapon. But here it was clearly being used to create isolated environmental zones where plague victims could be treated without infecting others. It was never a weapon, Nixara whispered. No, Jinsu said. It was medicine. But I guess to frightened people, medicine strong enough to reshape an environment looks like power, and power looks like a threat. The archive continued. It showed growing paranoia among some Council species. Anonymous propaganda appearing on communication networks. Claims that humans were manipulating minds. That they were making other species weak and dependent. That human kindness was actually a form of conquest. The conspiracy theories spread fast, Jinsu said bitterly. Some species started to believe them. They held secret meetings. They talked about the human problem. They convinced themselves that preventing a potential threat was the same as self-defense. The display showed the first attack, a human colony on the edge of Council space. It held 12,000 people, scientists, families, children. The attack came without warning. Orbital bombardment followed by ground forces. The humans sent distress signals. They begged for help. They asked what they had done wrong. No one answered. The colony was destroyed completely. That was the first, Jinsu said. There were 37 more. The display accelerated, showing colony after colony falling. Human ships trying to evacuate civilians. Human diplomats desperately trying to reach someone who would listen. Human medical stations still treating plague victims even as warships approached. Nixara watched in horror as the true history unfolded. Humans did not fight back at first because they could not believe the attack was real. They thought it was a misunderstanding that could be cleared up with conversation. By the time they understood, it was too late. The final entry showed the last human colonies making a choice. They had 3 options: fight and be destroyed, surrender and be destroyed, or run. They ran. Every human ship still capable of jumping gathered together. They left Council space entirely, heading into unexplored regions where they hoped the persecution would not follow. The last message was a recording. A woman appeared on the display. She was old, wearing a formal uniform. Her eyes were tired but fierce. I am Chairwoman Minji, she said, last surviving member of the Human Council Diplomatic Corps. This message is for any human descendants who return to Council space. Do not trust them. Do not help them. They will kill you for your kindness and call it self-defense. Minji paused and her expression softened. But if you choose to return anyway, if you choose to try again despite what they did to us, then I am proud of you. It means we did not lose who we are. It means we are still human. The recording ended. Jin-Soo wiped her eyes. Minji was my great-great-great-grandmother. She made that recording knowing her colony would be destroyed. She was right. It was attacked 2 days later. Everyone died. Nixara realized she was shaking. The Council knows this. They must know. Of course they know, Jin-Soo said. They were there. They did it. And then they wrote their version of history to make themselves feel better about genocide. They turned their victims into monsters so they could pretend they were heroes. I am so sorry, Nixara said. Jin-Soo looked at her with an expression that mixed sadness and something else, something that might have been hope. You are the first one to say that, the first one to actually apologize. She stood and accessed another file. I have more data if you need it. Medical records, personal journals, children's schoolwork from the colonies, recipes for shared meals between humans and other species. Everything that proves we were people, not monsters. Can I copy this? Nixara asked. Can I share it? That is why I am showing it to you, Jin-Soo said. I am one human with one old ship. I cannot change what happened. But maybe the truth can. Maybe if people see what really happened, they will question the comfortable lies they were taught. Nixara began downloading the archive. Cordan will try to stop me from releasing this. I know, Jin-Soo said. Do it anyway. The truth matters more than safety. That is something humans always believed. Maybe it is time your people believed it too. Nixara left the ship carrying the complete archive. Cordan was waiting outside, his scales the color of suspicion. What did you get? The truth, Nixara said. And I am going to make sure everyone sees it. Nixara did not wait for permission. She uploaded the human archive to the Galactic Public Network at exactly midnight station time. By morning, 17 billion beings across 70 species had accessed it. By afternoon, that number had tripled. The galactic community fractured within hours. Cordan stormed into Nixara's quarters with armed guards. You have committed treason against the Council. You will be arrested. For what crime? Nixara asked calmly. Sharing historical documents? Teaching truth? For lies and propaganda, Cordan hissed. That data is fake, created by the human to manipulate us. The data is verified authentic, Nixara said. I had it analyzed by 7 independent systems. The timestamps match perfectly with known events. The medical records contain genetic data from species that only existed during that time period. The star charts show constellations from perspectives that match the claimed colony locations. It is all real. Cordan's scales shifted through angry colors. It does not matter if it is real. You have destabilized the entire galactic order. Riots are breaking out on 15 worlds. Species are demanding investigations. The Council is in chaos. Good, Nixara said simply. The Council deserves chaos. We built our civilization on a lie and covered it with the graves of innocents. Before Cordan could respond, emergency alarms sounded throughout the station. All security personnel to the quarantine bay immediately. The human is to be terminated. Authorization code Omega-7. Nixara ran. She reached the observation room in time to see Cordan's elite forces entering the bay where Jin-Soo's ship sat. The human captain had not tried to escape or fight. She had simply been waiting. Stop this! Nixara shouted at Velthar, who stood watching with an expression of deep sorrow. I cannot, the ambassador said. The council leadership voted. Jin-Soo knows too much. Her existence proves our guilt. As long as she lives, the truth remains alive. They want to eliminate both. This is murder, Nixara said. This is survival, Cordon said, entering the room. The Council cannot function if every species questions our founding history. We need unity. We need the fear of human monsters to keep us working together. One human life is a small price to pay for galactic stability. Except it is not one life, Nixara said. It is one more life, added to the millions you already killed. When does it stop? Cordon moved toward the control panel to give the final execution order. Before he could, every screen in the station suddenly changed. The face of Chairwoman Min-ji appeared, speaking her final message to her descendants. The message Nixara had included in the public data release. Throughout the station, throughout the connected galaxy, billions watched the recording. They saw a tired old woman who knew she was going to die. They heard her warning. They heard her pride in human persistence despite persecution. And then they saw the transmission end and the date stamp appear. 2 days later, that colony was destroyed. Min-ji and 15,000 others died while calling for help that never came. The station fell absolutely silent. Jinsu's voice came through the quarantine bay speakers. She had activated the communication system herself. "You can kill me," she said quietly. "You have the guns and the numbers. I cannot stop you. But the truth is out now. Every young person in every species knows what really happened. And they are asking themselves a question." She paused. "What kind of people kill those who come to help? What kind of people turn victims into villains? What kind of monsters are we?" In the observation room, Velthar turned to face Cordon. "She is right. We are the monsters in this story. We always have been." "We did what was necessary," Cordon insisted, but his voice lacked certainty now. "Did we?" Velthar asked. "Or did we do what was easy? Did we eliminate a threat, or did we eliminate our own guilt? The humans made us feel inferior because they were better at helping than we were, so we killed them and told ourselves it was self-defense." More council members entered the room. The debate that followed was fierce and painful. Some demanded Jinsu's immediate execution. Others wanted her freed and honored. Some species threatened to withdraw from the council entirely. Others threatened war if the truth was not acknowledged. For 3 days, the argument raged while Jinsu remained sealed in her ship, waiting for judgment. Protests filled the streets of every major world. Young people confronted their elders, demanding answers. The comfortable lie that had held the galaxy together for 800 years was crumbling. On the 3rd day, Cordon came to Jinsu's ship, alone. He requested permission to enter. Jinsu, perhaps foolishly, allowed it. The security chief stood in the small cabin, looking at the human woman who represented everything his culture had taught him to hate and fear. His scales shifted through colors of confusion and pain. "My species was infected by the plague," he said finally. 847 years ago, 70% of our population was dying. Then humans came. Your medical teams worked without rest. You saved 11 million of my people. My own ancestor was among them. I learned this after Nixara released your data. I traced my family line back." He sat down heavily. "I have spent my entire career protecting the Council from the monsters in our history. I believed in the legend. I believed humans were evil creatures that wanted to enslave us with false kindness. I was proud to stand against that threat." Jinsu said nothing. She simply listened. "But you are not a monster," Cordon continued. "You are just a person. A tired, sad person who came home hoping to find her people's colonies. Instead, you found their graves and their murderers pretending to be victims." He looked at her. "I am sorry. Those words are not enough. They will never be enough. But I am sorry." "Thank you," Jinsu said softly. "That means more than you know." "I have a question," Cordon said. Your people were wiped out by us. You know what we did. You have every right to hate us, every right to want revenge. Your ship may be old, but you have knowledge we do not. You could probably create weapons if you wanted. Why have you not tried to hurt us?" Jinsu smiled sadly. "Because revenge would prove you were right about us. If I hurt you, I would become the monster you pretended we were. And then all those people would have died for nothing. Their memory would be lost forever." She stood and walked to her ship's small window, looking out at the station. "My great-great-great-grandmother's message said not to trust you, not to help you. She was wrong about that. Or maybe she was not wrong, but I choose to disagree with her anyway, because if we stop helping, if we stop trying to connect with others, then we stop being human. We become something else, something smaller." "You are better than us," Cordon said. "No," Jinsu replied. "We are just different. Humans are not perfect. We make mistakes. We can be cruel and selfish and stupid, but we try. We keep trying to be better, to help more, to understand more. That is all we ever wanted, to be part of something bigger and to help that something grow." Cordon stood. "The council is voting today. Final decision on your fate. I do not know which way it will go." "I know," Jinsu said. "Whatever happens, thank you for coming here. Thank you for apologizing. It helps." Cordon left. Jinsu returned to waiting. Outside, the galaxy held its breath. The council chamber had never been so full. Representatives from every species attended, along with observers, media, and protesters who had forced their way in. The debate over Jinsu's fate had become about more than one human. It had become about who the council wanted to be. Ambassador Velthar stood at the center, his voice amplified to reach everyone. "We have 3 proposals. First, immediate execution of the human and suppression of all data she brought. Second, exile of the human with warning never to return. Third, formal acknowledgement of historical crimes and invitation for humans to return to council space." The voting took 6 hours. Species argued and negotiated. Some threatened to leave if humans were welcomed back. Others threatened to leave if they were not. The young and old generations of every species found themselves on opposite sides. The final vote was close. 40 species voted for acknowledgement and restoration. 27 voted for exile. 3 voted for execution. It passed. Velthar read the official decision with a shaking voice. "The Galactic Council formally acknowledges that historical records regarding human species were falsified. The attacks on human colonies constituted unprovoked genocide. The Council offers formal apology and reparations. Captain Jinsu is granted full diplomatic status and immunity. Humans are invited to return to Council space as full members with all rights and protections." Half the chamber erupted in cheers. The other half walked out in protest. Jinsu was brought to the chamber. She looked small standing before 70 species. Some who wanted her honored, and some who wanted her dead. Velthar approached her formally. "Captain Jinsu, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I apologize for the crimes committed against your people. We were wrong. We were cowards who feared your kindness and murdered innocents. No words can undo what was done, but we hope to begin making amends." Jinsu looked at the divided chamber. "Thank you for the apology. It matters, but words alone do not heal genocide." She took a deep breath. "I came here hoping to find my people's colonies thriving. Instead, I found their graves. I am one human with one old ship. I cannot bring them back. I cannot undo 800 years of lies, but maybe I can prevent it from happening again." She accessed her ship's database remotely. New data appeared on the chamber displays. "During my ancestors' 900-year journey, we did not stop being human. We studied, we learned, we developed new technology. The displays showed medical advances, agricultural systems, peaceful energy solutions. I brought these as gifts, no conditions, no payment required. Take them, use them, help your people with them." Why would you give us anything after what we did? Someone shouted from the crowd. Because people are dying, Jinsu said simply. I have technology that can save them. If I withhold it out of revenge, I become the monster you thought we were. I will not do that. I will not let you turn me into your lie. She turned to face the full council. But I have one request. Help me find other human colonies. Help me search the unexplored regions where our ships fled. If there are survivors, they deserve to know they can come home. And if there are none, if I truly am the last, then help me remember them correctly. Not as monsters, as people who tried to help. Nixara stepped forward. I volunteer to lead the search missions. I will find every human colony, living or dead. I will document the truth of what happened. No more lies. No more comfortable stories. Cordon surprised everyone by joining her. I request permission to serve under Scholar Nixara. My skills may be useful, and I have much to make up for. Velthar began the painful work of reform. The council established a truth commission to investigate all historical records. They created memorials for human colonies. They broadcast the true history to every world, every school, every child who had been taught the lies. It was not easy. Some species refused to accept the truth. Some clung to the old stories because admitting guilt was too painful. Protests turned into riots on 12 worlds. 3 species withdrew from the council entirely, but the young generation persisted. They demanded change. They demanded honesty. They demanded a future built on truth rather than comfortable lies. 2 months after Jinsu's arrival, the search teams began their work. They had coordinates from her ship's database showing the general direction the refugee fleet had traveled. The search would take years, maybe decades. But they were committed. 3 months after her arrival, Jinsu received a transmission. It came from deep space, from a direction no council ship had ever explored. The signal was old and weak, but the encryption was clearly human. This is the Generation ship New Horizon responding to Captain Jinsu's identification beacon. We thought we were alone. We thought everyone was dead. Are you really there? Are you really human? Please respond. We have been traveling for 893 years. We want to come home. Jinsu stood in the council communication center, tears running down her face. She transmitted back immediately. This is Captain Jinsu. You are not alone. I am here. Come home. It is safe now. Come home. Over the next 6 months, 5 more human generation ships responded. Each had been traveling for centuries. Each thought they were the last survivors. Each carried descendants of the refugees who had fled the genocide. Together, they represented perhaps 2 million humans scattered across deep space. They were coming home. Jinsu stood in the observation deck of the council station, watching the first generation ship arrive. It was massive, designed to sustain thousands for centuries. Beside her stood Nixara and Velthar. Cordon stood guard nearby, but now as protector rather than jailer. Are you afraid? Nixara asked. Of what happens when more humans arrive? Yes, Jinsu admitted. Some of your people still hate us. Some will always believe the old lies. There may be violence. There may be conflict. It will not be easy. But you still called them home, Velthar said. Of course, Jinsu replied. Because that is what humans do. We come home. We try to help. We hope for better. She smiled softly. My great-great-great-grandmother's last message told future humans not to trust you, not to help you. She said you would kill us for our kindness. She was right, Velthar said quietly. Yes, Jinsu agreed. But I am choosing to disagree with her anyway. Because if we stop trying, if we stop hoping, if we stop helping, then you win. Then the monsters in your stories become real because we chose to become them. The generation ship New Horizon docked with the station. The hatch opened slowly. An old woman stepped out, looking around with wonder at the council station her ancestors had fled from so long ago. She was the captain of New Horizon, the descendant of refugees, the keeper of painful memories. She saw Jin-Su waiting and moved toward her. The two humans embraced, crying openly. Around them, representatives from 70 species watched, some with joy, some with guilt, some with lingering fear. But they watched. They saw humans returning. They saw victims of genocide choosing to come back to the place that had hurt them. They saw strength that looked nothing like violence. "My name is Hana," the old woman said, pulling back from the embrace. "I am the great-great-great-great-granddaughter of the refugees from Korvath Colony. My ancestors' last words were, 'Never forgive them,' but here I am anyway." "Here we are," Jin-Su agreed. Still trying, still hoping, still human. More ships appeared on the horizon. Human ships, coming home after centuries in the dark. They brought knowledge, culture, hope, and the determination that had kept their species alive against impossible odds. The tales had spoken of monsters called humans. The truth was far worse for those who had created the lie. The truth was that humans were not monsters at all. They were people who kept trying to help, even after being hurt. They were beings who chose hope over hatred. They were a species that refused to become the villains they had been painted as. And that made them far more dangerous to the old order than any monster could ever be. Because monsters can be fought with weapons. But people who insist on kindness, despite persecution, can only be fought by becoming the very monsters you claimed they were. The galaxy would never be the same. And perhaps that was exactly what it needed.